probably a year. So I just want to talk today about some stuff that people struggle with in C++, and that's build systems. And if you look here, I'm using CLion, which is probably my favorite editor for C++. As long as the project doesn't get too big, CLion's actually a really great choice. Anyway, you can see I've got an existing project open here, and we aren't going to edit on this one because that's already a well-established system. We're going to build a new project. And so we're going to select new project, and CLion comes with some nice tools to sort of get us started. I don't want to go into the CLion's projects folder, so let me choose a different folder. We will start in a folder called Workspace, just as soon as I remember where I put it. Probably this list is alphabetical. It's not as alphabetical as a person might hope. So let's just scroll up here and we will find it. In case you ever feel bad for struggling with your own system, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and you can see that just choosing a file is challenging me. All right, and the program that I want to make ultimately is going to be something that downloads lists of files from Google Drive. So I'm going to choose Workspace here, and then, boy, that wasn't very clever. I need to tell it now that I want a new folder underneath that. Drive downloader. There we go. And I'm not doing this because I have any particular need to download files. I just think that a lot of us use Google Drive, and learning how to use their API from C++ is probably going to make our lives a little more interesting. All right, so we're going to use C++ 20 because I like C++ 20, and this should create for us a CMake file. It's going to be a pretty stripped down CMake file, but that's absolutely okay. Yep, it's got all the basics that we need right here. This is actually enough to get us going. We have one file called main.cpp, and that file has the entirety of our program because it's a really small program. And let's see about building this. Build project. And I realize that text is a little small on the screen, but that's just the normal scroll that you get with CMake. And our build is finished. And let's go out here to the terminal. And as soon as that terminal comes up, we should get our hello world. Then, oh, it's in our build debug folder. If you've never dealt with CMake before, it does something called out-of-tree builds, meaning that it won't put your build artifacts and your final executable in the same tree as your source code. That's a really great tool for keeping you from accidentally committing your binaries or your binary artifacts into your source control. I love that feature, and it's one of the biggest reasons I use CMake. Okay, tab completion, we're going to run drive downloader, and we got our expected hello world. I realize that text is really small and you're having trouble seeing it, but it does in fact say hello world. Okay, and if we were to dedicate ourselves to creating the most simplistic possible CMake, this stream would be over right now. We have a working CMake file. We are using C++ 20. We've got most of what we need. Now let's try. Let's just clean out what we had here. So it got rid of our stuff that we built. Let's try now rebuilding this but we're going to set it to verbose mode, and I think this will work. We want to see what the command line looks like. Oops, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. All right, I'm trying to see what the actual command line is here. I may not be as... there we go. Make with verbose true. And that's showing me the actual commands that are built. And I'm doing that because I want to show you the effect that things like setting the C++ standard here has on what we're doing. Okay, we got a little bit of noise here, but this is having us go into this line here, saying that we're going into our build folder. All right, this is setting a whole lot of command line arguments. This is the actual command line that we got there. All right, that's great. So let's break this up into components. And I realize this text down here is a little small. So let me copy that and we'll paste it up here. So this is the actual command line. So this part, this was expected. It's going to run our C++ compiler. It is going to, because this is the debug build, -G to GCC, and to a lot of compilers says debug signals in. This part here, -std equals GNU ++2a, that gets us, that's there because of this. That's how we tell the GCC compiler that we want the C++ 20 standard. So that's that effect there. I'm going to take this out. We don't really want that in there because this is our actual CMake file. But we're going to be interacting with things via a REST interface. That's how you talk to Google Drive. So we're going to need to add some dependencies. And the way we add dependencies, and I'm going to have to pull up a terminal here. Dependency management is kind of a new feature of CMake, but it's one that's really worth taking advantage of. Actually, we'll just... And I use this in a different program, and so I'm going to bring this over here to show people how to make use of it. All right, a lot of this stuff we don't need. We do need this here, fetch content. So fetch content is a module that's new to CMake, and that is how we add our dependency management. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to include fetch content. And we should probably include ctest. We aren't building a test yet. That'll come a little later. We aren't building tests yet, so we don't need to add that in there. These things we don't need. Aren't building an installer yet. All right, those things we don't need yet. Huh. All right. So, oh. I know what's going on here. I was expecting to find the content in there for fetch content. That project actually deprecated the use of an external library. So as clever as I felt by showing you that, it's not as clever as a person might like. So I'm going to go over, I'm actually going to, I'm doing this off screen. I am Googling this. Let me see if I can drag this back in here so you can see it. There we go. So this is the fetch content documentation, and this shows us how to make this work. So we just put a fetch content command in, and we give it a name, and we tell it the get repository, and we tell it which tag we want to use. Actually, this is super easy. So an external dependency that we're going to have is lib curl. And so we'll put the stuff in for that. And there are nice C++ wrappers for lib curl. So we're also going to bring those in. All right, so let me put this boilerplate into here. All right, and we aren't looking to add Google Test in yet. We actually will add Google Test at some point. But we are going to add lib curl. Let's go back to our web browser here, and there's the lib curl website. And of course, we need to find the we're going to need to find the right page. There's a download page. I know that this has a GitHub. All right, this is where Google's going to be our friend. There we go. If you haven't ever used libcurl before, this is a one-size-fits-all solution for pretty much anything involving network protocols and C or C++. Using this library just makes talking on the network really easy. It makes it a very simple thing to managing your program. At least as simple as any other language. Simpler than quite a few. All right, so here's libcurl. This is great. So there is our repository URL. Let's be careful about doing it that way. Let's actually get it from here. Now, when you're using GitHub, you have the option of using HTTPS or SSH. And it's really important when you're setting up your build tool to use HTTPS as your repository. Otherwise, you have to have access to all the SSH keys. That's extremely impractical. And we are only doing read operations on that repository. So we don't need the full capabilities that SSH would give us. HTTPS is more than fine. So we'll copy that. We'll put that over here for the Git repository. And we need to go find our latest release tag. And this is our tag. It's curl-7_80_0. So that's the tag right there. I'm just going to copy that out of there. I don't trust myself not to screw up copying and pasting the tag, or typing the tag. So let's do that. And now let's go back down to our terminal here. Or in fact, let's go to just, this terminal is just easier to read for those of you following along at home. What did I call my project? Drive downloader. All right. I'm going to change back to our build folder. We'll use the same build folder as our CLion used. But I'm rerunning my CMake. Actually, I could do this manually, but CMake's going to do it for us, and it's going to tell me that it needs to be reloaded. So let's reload changes, and let's see what happens. All right, absolutely nothing. That is beautiful. Great. Let's go back to our terminal. So things did happen, but there were no problems. This is just a nice, clean rebuild. This is exactly what we want to see. Okay, so I should be able to go here and type make. Actually, let's do a make clean. And you see we don't have our builder there. Oh, I declared that fetch content, but I never said to download it. That's an issue. We should have seen more happen. Okay. So, in addition to doing a fetch content declare, we need to do a fetch content make available. So let's go back into our CMake file and do that. Fetch content make available. Is that how that was done there? Yep, make available, and I have to give the name. And I don't know what that second parameter is for make available. So let's see what this does. Oh, okay. That's just that second parameter is nothing magic. That's just the name of another package. We're only using one package right now, but that will change. All right. So let's be over here in our CMake terminal. We'll choose to reload changes. And it's running it. And this isn't running quite as fast, and that's because it's downloading libcurl from the source repository. I don't know if this is coming through in the audio, but the fans on my laptop just kicked into high gear. So there we go. Look at all that stuff that it's downloading. It's actually building libcurl for us. That's great. Oh, it's got opinions about that. Okay, now I actually have OpenSSL available, I'm pretty sure. But I need to set my OpenSSL includer. I mean, that's fair. You know what? Let's make... Let's make OpenSSL another dependency that we're managing. So let's go up here and let's find the OpenSSL Git repository. Here we go. Here's OpenSSL's Git repository. And again, we're going to copy the HTTP URL to the repository. And we're again going to use a current release tag. Let's go see what the most, they don't have any formal releases. But let's see what the latest release tag is. OpenSSL 3.0.0, released as of September 7th. That really seems like a good candidate to use. So let's do that. There, that's the tag there. And let's try that and see what that gets us. Okay, so here's our CMake window. It's still here. Let's do a reload and see what happens. And I'm not 100% certain how to make libcurl see an OpenSSL that I just downloaded, but I'm going to give it a shot. It's possible that these tools just know about each other and are going to do the right thing under CMake. I honestly think that that's a pretty big assumption, but I'm willing to give it a shot. There we go. The fans are kicking up a little bit, which means it's working. Maybe. OpenSSL is not a trivial sized library, so that might be a factor in there. Oh, that has opinions. All right, so it tried to grab. I definitely tried to grab the curl. I don't know if it tried to grab the OpenSSL. Let's go over to our terminal and have a look. I'm going to use this terminal because it's easier for everybody to read. All right, we have our underscore deps folder. Let's see what we got there. We got libcurl stuff. We got OpenSSL stuff. It hasn't built anything under OpenSSL. All right, so it did download all of our OpenSSL stuff. So I think that's a good start. But apparently, let's hop out of there. So apparently that is, there's a dependency thing going on here. And I'm wondering, this seems like a really great opportunity to read a manual. There's this very fine manual here. We should probably read this to find out if there are things we have to do when we have these kind of internal dependencies. All right. Got some examples here. Let's see what's in there. The example they use for all this stuff is like Google Test, which is honestly one of my favorites. I don't know what Catch 2 is. Maybe we'll explore that for this project to see if Catch 2 has anything we like in it. Here we go. This talks about dealing with dependencies. Okay, so nothing there was... All right, nothing there was all that informative. So let's go back over here, and I just want to try an experiment. So I need OpenSSL before I need libcurl. And OpenSSL really wants an OpenSSL root dir. I think that'll be good. So let's try. We've got a path here now that fetch content makes available to us for where it built all of its magic. This could be fetch content make available anyway. This will be open SSL underscore binary dir. Let's try binary dir first. If that doesn't work, we'll go to source dir. Now this is going to set an internal variable, and I really want this to be an environment variable because I think that's how libcurl is going to get it. But let's just try it this way. Let's see what we get trying it this way. I'm expecting failure, but I might get a pleasant surprise. All right, no, it did not find it. Oh. There is a find OpenSSL macro inside of CMake. That's what's going on. This right here says it's using the find OpenSSL package. So let's go read about that. That might just have it for us. That might tell us what to do here. All right. Hints. You know what? My screen is too long and it's scrolling off the bottom. Wow. This is going to be a thing. There we go. That's maybe a little small, but okay, there's the results. All right, so I need to set this OpenSSL root dir. So let's do that. And we will see what that net says. I do want to emphasize, if there is actually anybody listening to this, if you want to, if you have questions for me, go ahead and type them into the chat. There's a little bit of delay between when stuff goes to chat and when you're actually able to see the video, so don't feel bad if it takes me a couple of minutes to answer any questions. All right, so if I set the OpenSSL root dir, so let's do this. CMake set environment variable, env. All right. Set a normal variable. All right, so I can just wrap this in env. And I think put these curly brackets on it. That one's a little less clear to me, but well, that wasn't entirely the plan. There we go. So I think that will work. Let's reload and see what this gets us. For reasons that aren't clear to me, this curl is executing first, even though I asked to make OpenSSL available first. I'm going to see if just putting the order differently in here changes that. My guess is that's not going to do it, but it's worth a try. No, it still didn't find it. All right, so I need to find a way to say that one is a dependency of the other. So fetch content, set dependency. All right, so right back to here. Oh, I may need to use the fetch content populate command from the look of this. They talk about how to do it here. Okay, so we have to put in here a properties OpenSSL. All right, actually, I need to go look at the OpenSSL GitHub repo too. This might just be bothered. Just might be out of luck that way. If this does not have support for CMake in it, it's just not going to add it to my build. Yeah, this is an autotools repository. It does not work with CMake. All right. Let's see if there's any mention of CMake in here. CMake is not mentioned. That's unfortunate. It's not surprising, but it is unfortunate. All right, let's see if there's a way to build CMake projects that fetch content that uses autotools. Generally, I hate autotools, but that is the choice that they have made for the OpenSSL project. So let's see if Stack Overflow has any useful information for us. All right. Yep, this person's trying to do exactly what we're trying to do. Okay, so when we declare the content, we can actually say this is what we want it to do. So fetch content declare may get us some stuff, but possibly we're going to need to use the external projects module. Either one is fine. I can work with either one. here's my options. Oh, okay. ExternalProject allows these build commands, but fetch content will not use them. So let's go look at ExternalProject add and see what that gets us. All right, so let's do an ExternalProject add on OpenSSL. Pretty sure we're going to need to declare we don't seem to need to include anything. That's actually kind of great. So let's give that a shot. Geez, I like this. All right. So that brings us actually back here to the OpenSSL library. And we just want to download that binary. This is the one we want. The zip file will work just fine. So let's copy that URL. And, oops, there we go. Now, we aren't going to play with the directory options. I kind of want to use oh, this is excellent. We can use a Git repository. We have Git repository and Git tag, so we don't need to do anything about those. That's grand. We can just change. This becomes ExternalProject add. Okay, so those options are good. I think I have to, yep, I have to give it a name. So we're actually all good up till there. So there's our download steps. We don't need any more download steps. We're actually good through all of that. We get through Subversion and Mercurial and CVS. This is a cool feature. I kind of wish I had known about this one before. All right, config steps, configure command. All right, so we're going to need to add a configure command. I'll bet they tell us. If we go back here. But there's instructions here on what to do. But let's also just take a look and see if there is a /configure. You know what? This is so raw. Let's not even go there. Let's go straight to the OpenSSL project. Okay, this is the right folder. That's excellent. And so we're going to get rid of that get thing because I don't want to deal with having to do the automake stand up. That's really involved and it's kind of miserable. And frankly, doesn't give us any advantages. Download steps. So I can just give it my URL. That should be fine. That's the URL that I copied off the site. I'm going to work on the assumption that like they know what they're doing. Configure command is should just be configure. So we go down here, we've got all those source things there. Updates and patches, we aren't doing that. But configure command. The build step. Oh, it looks like it's going to do the right thing automatically. It's just going to do a make. All right, so that's really cool. All right, we may need to use some of this stuff, but let's just try reloading this. And let's see if we can get this to grab our... Oh, did not like that. Fetch project is not a command. There we go. We have external project now. Now I think that that's still not listed as a dependency, but let's see what happens. Well, I did not like that at all. External project add. Nope. Did not care for that. So down here we have examples. Okay, we do need to include external project. It just wasn't listed at the top, but that doesn't mean that it's still not needed. So let's reload those changes, see what we get. Ah, yeah, that's not going to work there. This isn't right either. This isn't going to work, but I want to see if I can just get it to... Okay, line 19 is just grumbly about that. as it should be. So we'll just pull out those two things. We never told it anything about OpenSSL, and so it doesn't do anything about OpenSSL. All right. Still mad, but I think if we go over here, all right, so I think this OpenSSL prefix folder probably gave us something important. I am going to very temporarily close my CLion. I want to delete this folder entirely. This sometimes happens with CMake, that you just get stuff trapped in there that you didn't want. And because it has that old save state, it can't recover because you had an unsustainable state before. So we're going to make our build folder, and we're going to CMake ... Oh, does not like that. I do not have the latest CMake. I only have 3.1 or 3.16. Okay, well that's special. All right. Let's see if we have anything out there that can update our CMake for us. There's a lot of stuff that needs updating, but none of it says CMake. So that's not going to help me. So I definitely have version 3.16.3. In case you're wondering, CLion is running the latest version, or a more recent version anyway. Oh, that is already at the latest version that is supported by this version of Ubuntu. So we're going to go right back into CLion. CLion is our tool. But I've deleted that folder, so we will have gotten rid of any old bad state. So this really isn't a problem. Huh, a little grumbly there. I don't know what that's about. Huh. All right. My CLion didn't come up. Let's try it again. There we go. Huh. CLion just seems a little grumpy in general. I did recently just update to a new version. There we go. I got all of this badness out. All right, it's doing a little bit of whirling here, and then it's going to try to run CMake, and we'll see what it does. All right, it seems like it's calmed down. Let's reload the CMake project and see what happens. All right, this is sort of its normal initial update stuff just to see what am I running. That looks like curl stuff, not Yeah, not OpenSSL. All right. If there is anybody watching and you have any great ideas about how to get those dependencies sorted out, all right, so my deps has libcurl. I have my OpenSSL prefix. I don't have a lot in any of those folders. So let's go look at, there's some CMake files down there. Let's go see if anything exciting is in those. What's in here? This is a very complicated script that I just don't really feel like arguing with. Okay, there's that. Lots of interesting stuff going on in here. All right, this feels like Google is going to be our friend again. So, hey, if you came into this expecting, by the way, that I was going to be a well-prepared, nice tutorial, what you got instead is the reality of being a senior programmer. I just dive into. I just have to dive into stuff and figure out what's going on. I honestly wasn't expecting this OpenSSL complexity. I don't know why I didn't expect that. OpenSSL is notoriously complex. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's try a simpler experiment here. Let's take the lib curl out. You know what? Like, that's kind of hurting us here. So let's just take that out and let's, oops. There we go. So instead of fetching lib curl, we're going to ask it to just do our external project and see if we can get that to work. All right, so that says it's done. Yeah, so that's, it's not doing anything about that external project. So all right, so I need, here's my external project documents. I feel like I'm missing something about my external project here. I've got this external project add, but it's not really telling me what to do about this. Okay, so I'm not sure what any of this is going to get me. That, all right, and what do we have here? This doesn't look entirely like what I need. Tell you what, let's go over here and try to just do our make. Oh, look at that. It's downloading a thing. That's really pretty cool. Oh, that's neat. So, all right. So that's a thing that we have to be cautious of. As soon as we make something an external project, it is a thing that happens during the build step and not during our CMake run. And I guess on the bigger scale that makes sense. If it was a CMake project, it would be a different thing. So it would run the CMake step because it can find all the things it needs to know to incorporate it through the CMake step. But it is not, so it just needs to run it. All right, so great. It downloaded it there. There's the OpenSSL folder. There's this configure program with a capital C. What does that do? This is a bit of Perl. I better hope you have Perl installed, but you know, conveniently I do. So this is all good. There's also this config program. Okay, let's go back at our make file and have a look at that. Let's just try this config and see what happens there. Now I'm gonna reloading the changes shouldn't change anything here. Yep, nice quick run. Now I'm gonna go back over here. And I'm gonna do it from out here because it's just gonna be easier to read. It's downloading all our goodies. Performing configure step for OpenSSL. All right. This could be helpful here. Kind of looking for information about what's the current folder. Hey, fun fact, if we provided a URL hash, we wouldn't have to do new downloaders. That's probably really smart. We will fight that fight in just a minute. Okay, let's just try the simple solution first of putting a /config in front of it, or / in front of that. So our CMake built cleanly. Let's go out here. No, it doesn't not find the config. Okay. I think that means we're going to need to talk to getting the project properties. Okay, so this is what happens. So I need to do an external project get property. Oh, but I can't do that in there. Okay, that's very inconvenient. Okay, but it looks like I have access to I might have access to these variables in here. So let's try that. Build step options. Configure handled by build. It is not. I don't think configure is handled by build. Let's just go take a look down there, shall we? Is there a make file already? That would just make my life really easy. There is not a make file already. Let's just try typing make in here and see what happens. Nothing. Okay, that was kind of what we expected, so that's not a big deal. So we'll go back to trying to figure out okay, let's just try this. This variable might be might exist just in this context. We can try it. Oh. Okay, so that variable is definitely not present. So how do we get the name of the directory where it is? That is going to be a challenge. So project and configure command example. There's what I want right there. Oh, it says there's a configure command example. That'd be nice. Let's see what this does. There are a lot of configure command steps. That does this. It has an example for when there isn't any. External project add dependencies. There's no examples of using a configure command. All right, I might need to look into these CMake generators. Oh, that's just gonna be a pain in my backside. Yep, this is going to be a pain in the backside. Let's go look at generator expressions. Target dependent queries. These are definitely not what we want. These are actually about the target. No, none of that is what I'm looking for. CMake external project. How to build external projects and include their targets. Let's see if this gives me anything helpful. I don't see an accepted answer. That's unfortunate. Well, maybe I can get something in here that explains. Seen a shortage of answers about the configure command. I must admit. It is not in the documentation. Let's see if this. Let's go over there and have a look and see what this says about. I'm just going to try running config and see what happens. Well, it looks like it's going to do the right thing. It has been successfully configured. Now, what's down here? If I type make, oh, there is a make file. Oh, that's grand. That's exactly what I was hoping to see. All right, so the config that's supplied does work. That's really important. So we just have to figure out how to get in there and it does build. That's also really good. So we just kind of need to figure out how to tell this that we want to run that program. I bet there's lots of variables that would get us what we're looking for there. Just look at that little bugger build. All right, let's go over here. And we have a bunch of pre-made source variables. And I don't see any point in not using CMake binary dir. And I think, wow, that's a really good question. No, current binary directory. That could be exciting. Let's see what that gets us. You may hear my cat howling in the background. That's because I'm downstairs and she is upstairs. And here she is now. This is Nadia. She's my frequent assistant. We're just going to bring her up here on the desk, where she has her own bed. You may hear some pretty intense purring because she is Nadia. This is what Nadias do. Nadia likes to purr. She's good at it. Nadia also likes to be pet. Anyway. Oops, we don't want to run our CMake from there. We want to do this up here. Okay, our make files got updated. Let's run a make. Let's get all our goodies going. All right. Okay, so our CMake current build folder got us what we were looking for. That's really good. So all we need to do now is add on the things that follow from that. And that might be enough to make it run. Performing configure step. go to the folder that's involved there, and that's really different. This is a prefix. Yeah, okay. OpenSSL prefix. I missed the slash source. There we go. Let's try that. Let's see what that gets us. All right, Nadia's going to settle in and take a nap down here. Nadia has her cat beds on the desk, and Nadia likes her cat beds. Hey, we're downloading. Oh, look at that. It's doing the config. It's doing the build. Now I can probably tell it to do the... I can probably make it build lib curl. The unfortunate thing is I'm going to have to specify lib curl also as an external package. Might not be my favorite thing to do. I really love using the fetch content features, but and I'll show you how to use the fetch content features later. The really important thing out of this is that we're actually going to be able to manage these dependencies externally. So this is like kind of a big deal for me. This seems like this is going to take just a little bit. This is a great time to run out and great time to go get some coffee. Go pet your own cat. Your cat will appreciate it. Let's see what's going to come out of this. Still building. OpenSSL is just a giant library, so it's not a shock that it's taking a little bit to build. I should also mention that the thing that you really want to do, there are risks around using your own build of OpenSSL. There have been a lot of bad security problems created by people doing their own build. If at all possible, it's better to use the OpenSSL that's distributed for your system. Use one of the official builds, but that's often not possible. So we're putting this in here. And this is really illustrating one of the more complex situations that you can get into with your dependencies, where I've got some high-level library that integrates just fine with CMake, and I can use the fetch content. But then it has its own dependency on something that's low-level and doesn't have those nice CMake integrations. And OpenSSL is definitely one of those libraries. It's a very powerful library. It's not the world's most user-friendly library. I have not had the best time trying to read its documentations. That manual is not written for mere mortals to understand. So while we sit here and watch the screen literally do nothing, let's go take a look at some of the other libraries we're going to need. So libcurl is great. We're going to have libcurl in here. Libcurl, however, also needs... I want to use C++, not C. There's nothing wrong with C, and I love working in C. But one of my objectives while working on this project is actually going to be to make use of the C++ 20 parallel processing capabilities. And so I really don't want to have to spend a lot of time manipulating libcurl using the C library when I know there are good C++ wrappers around libcurl. Curl PP, I think, is the one that I normally hear about. Okay, this all actually seems like good stuff. I like it. Let's go see what's out here. He has examples. Let's go look at its examples. All right, what are examples? An upload example, get info example. Most of the stuff I'm going to do with drive libraries, because I'm just playing around, to be perfectly honest, is get operations. Let's just go take a look at the very first item here. The file structures mirror what's in curl really closely. That's actually really nice. I'm glad they did that. Okay, so we create a request, we set an option of URL, and that, oh gee, that seems like really easy. I think we can handle that. And then we do a perform. This feels like that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so this is the tool we want to use, I think. The other thing we're going to need to do, all of Google Drive and all Google apps use OAuth authentication, which is a perfectly lovely authentication scheme. It's a little involved, but it's all something we can do. We are going to need to we probably need to be able to parse a JWT token, although I'm not certain about that. We might not. But we definitely need to be able to parse JSON. So let's see if we can find good libraries for parsing JSON. Json for modern C++. Oh, that looks like a possibility. Rapid JSON. Well, that looks nice. Let's go take a look at this first. I see that it supports CMake, so already I like it. Oh, look at that, look at that. Okay, we weren't able to install it, apparently. Oh, there is an install step. Okay, so we don't want to install OpenSSL globally, so that's fine. We don't need to do that. We want to install it locally, so let's go find out. Go back a little bit there. Yeah, we'll go back into the external project documentation. And there'll be stuff in here about where we were going to install it. Oh, there's this EP base. I wonder what that is. These directory options might be important here. Okay. We have to do this by passing the right options to the configure command. I don't know what those are, so let's just go into the OpenSSL prefix folder. And let's ask configure. If it will tell us what its options are. It's not being very friendly with these options. Nope, that wasn't helpful at all. All right, it seems that they included this fine manual, and we should probably read it. downside of this. Okay, so we want to add a -- prefix option. And that's equal to this right here. So I want to set that on a variable here. Absolutely not what I wanted to set that to. So we're just going to copy this out. And this now becomes that OpenSSL prefix. And we're going to install this into OpenSSL prefix. And hopefully that's going to work for us. So we need to rerun our CMake. That was good. Now the interesting thing is our build actually already functioned and ran. And that's actually because that can complete. We have not said that OpenSSL's build step is a prerequisite for this. I'll have to figure out how to specify that later. We aren't there right now. Let's run our make. It's going to do its build. Let's see if it grabs the cache build or not. That rather looks like it is not performing the cached build. So we've got a little bit of a wait here going on. See how this plays out. Going to take just a little bit. Again, if there's any actual people listening, this is a stellar time to pop any questions into the chat. And then we'll see what we have. Well, actually, while we're waiting, let's take this opportunity to just go and see what... That was the wrong window. Let's see how we make our build depend on our external project. Target depend on external project. CMake, how to have a target depend on an external project. Okay, so it's just an add dependencies. That's actually really cool. So that makes this easy. Add dependencies, and this will be for the drive downloader. And we're going to make OpenSSL depend on that. That's great. Our build is still running, and it's going to be running for a little bit. But let's reload that. I suppose having that screen up there without any information about what's going on in the background isn't useful. So here's what's going on in the background. Very, very little. It's just quietly compiling. Even the cat's getting bored by this, and she was just sleeping. We're petting her now just to give her some stimulation. I'm sure I'll pay for this later. She'll come and demand attention when I didn't feel like giving it. But Nadia's a pretty good workspace companion. Mostly sits and watches me. She's generally happy if her people are around her. Still building. We're just going to keep that up, apparently. This is where I kind of wish I'd chosen a verbose option. It didn't show me what it built for the configure step. So I'm just hoping it did the right thing here. But we'll know in a minute. But if this works, we'll add the libcurl option. Or we'll add the libcurl external dependency. We'll try to get the dependency ordering right so that libcurl won't build before OpenSSL will build. But I think even before that, we want to take some steps to keep this from rebuilding itself every time. And I think the first path of doing that is to set the MD5 checksum for the package. That'll at least stop the download. That might stop the rebuild. I'm not certain. Obviously, this is kind of a long build step here, and I wouldn't necessarily want to do this too much. In fact, it might be worth performing a little experiment as soon as this is done, especially if this is a successful build. Let's just try running make, and maybe this will run quickly. That would be great, actually. So let's go look at the OpenSSL page, and let's see if OpenSSL provides MD5 checksums for these. Oh, they've got SHA-1 results. There's my SHA-1 for that. It's impossible to read. It was white on light gray. That's really nice. If that works, if that'll work. Let's go and see if directory information. Yeah, okay, so we can just say URL hash SHA-1 equals that. Okay, that's great. We will do that. Of course, I don't have that file still open, but I know where to find that file. That's going to be out in my downloads folder. Right there, that's our file. Put that in there. That there. Oops, needs to be capital letters. Now we'll reload that. All right, got that going. Oh, look at this. It's installing it. It's putting it in the right place. Yeah, that's what we like to see. That's what we like to see right there. It's got a lot of stuff to copy out there. We need all our man pages and whatnot. That's fine. We obviously wouldn't want to run through this process each time when we're doing our make cycle, our testing cycle. So we're going to see what's necessary to shorten this up. Oh, it's very nice to include full HTML documentation. A little bit of problems inside of Perl. Hopefully that's not going to wreck our build. I hear my cat is paging me in the distance. I'm not sure what she wants. I love an adoration, most likely. She's a cat. This is important to them. Huh. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if that's a thing I need to care about. Apparently it's going to be fine. Look at that. The whole thing is done. Do a make clean. Do a make. This is probably going to have to do... Did not need to do a download. It worked that out. It does need to do the configure step for OpenSSL. That's not so great. So we need to figure out how to stop it from doing that. It's going to do that full build. We don't want to have to do, with these external packages, we don't want to have to do a full rebuild of these every time we run our test cycle. That's not going to be conducive to a good time. On the flip side, I changed to the CMake file, and so it may just assume that it automatically should do a rebuild whenever I touch the CMake file. So let's let it run through this cycle, which unfortunately is long. And then we will run it again, and hopefully it doesn't go through the build process. Hopefully it says, oh, I've done this before. Everything is good, and we will just leave it alone. Still building. My cat is now sitting behind the laptop because she's worked out that it blows out a stream of warm air. My basement office is somewhat cold, so this is a reasonable choice for a cat to decide to do this. Staring at that screen isn't that exciting, so I'm going to make you stare at me. There's the screen that you can see. Okay. Just to bring you back up to speed on what was going on. We actually had a couple of great successes and one failure. So the great success, I ran make. It saw, it had already done OpenSSL. That means it's not going to try to do it every time. Only when I do things that affect OpenSSL. So that is grand. That's hard to beat. Okay, then it downloaded Lib Curl. And we didn't, unfortunately, I hadn't set this. And so I hadn't set that correctly. So that's what we're going to fix now. I just did that right here. Let's reload our changes. That should give us a new CMake folder. We'll do a make. Still a little grumbly about it. Okay, couldn't find OpenSSL router. Oh, you know what? I may need to rerun. Yeah, my make files might not be good. So let's run a clean. Let's run a make. Okay, we didn't have to do a download, but we did wipe out. We did invalidate the build. So unfortunately, we have to run through this build again. So that's going to be a little bit of a delay here. The good news is that the cat is happy and purring. I don't know if anybody can hear that in the background, but she's behind my laptop and she's purring very nicely. Still building, still building. All right. And I'm not entirely certain that we got the build step right. Or the environment setting right. JSON library looks very promising. I don't know if it is or not, but we'll see. CMake set environment variable. I think we've done it right. We'll see what happens here. We've got this here too. take a little bit. Really don't like these long builds. Unfortunately, this is just a feature of C++ can be slow builds. We make up for it for fast runs, but we start with slow builds. Again, once we have these dependencies nailed down, we won't have to go through this. When we do a build, it'll remember our previous builds and it'll keep all our stuff for us. The other good news is most of these libraries just aren't as big as OpenSSL. OpenSSL is ridiculously large. I am now curious, is OpenSSL installed on this system? OpenSSL is installed. Huh. So we're just going to do a little queries around here to see, do we actually have libSSL? We do. Wow. Yes, we do. libSSL3.so is right there. Okay. We do also have headers. Maybe. I don't actually know the OpenSSL headers. This might be. We could go look. I can go back and find the actual OpenSSL headers that would be. Look at that, actual headers. Could be relevant. So blowfish.h is one of them we can go look for. No, I do not have headers installed. So that is why I'm having to do this build. Now, if I'm being perfectly honest, what I want to do, the easy solution would be just to install OpenSSL development libraries on here at the operating system level. the thing I don't like about doing that is I've now introduced a dependency into people's development environment. And that's not as great a thing to do. Requiring people to have a certain set of libraries and all at this at a certain version is making for a bad development experience for a software team. I have a strong dislike of starting on a new project and I've got a day's worth of configuration to do just to set up my development environment. Or I've been in cases where I have a week's worth of configuration to do it, sometimes more. Requiring a development environment or the developer machine to have a large number of dependencies is bad, especially library dependencies. That has been the cause of some recent pain, very recent projects. Oh, that didn't go well. What did we die on? Oh, we are not finding that OpenSSL root dir. I wonder if... Conduct a little experiment here and see if the config is actually correct. Okay, so we're gonna do a build here. CMake build and see what happens. If we die at the same point, yeah, okay. So that OpenSSL root dir doesn't actually do the right thing. It's not helpful. Looking at this, we got the include dir, we just didn't get the crypto library. Okay, so actually that's... Yeah, it's only the crypto library it can't find. It found version 3.0.0. Oh, I wonder if it's looking for a specific version. Maybe libcurl can't handle the 3.0.0 yet. package OpenSSL required. All right, this might be a curl thing going on. Curl might depend on a certain version of OpenSSL. Okay, well, we're failing on being able to find libcrypto. OpenSSL crypto library. Let's see what we get here. All right, folks, we've been at this for a couple hours, 2.5. I'm going to drop off now, but thanks for following along, everybody who was there, and we will see everybody later.